good evening, and welcome to Tea Time.
Everybody, welcome to Tea Time. That's right, it is Monday night. It is the first Monday of December. It's the 5th, and I'm so glad you're with me tonight. I'm going to talk about my weekend real quick and then get to my in-studio guest. It was okay. It was a little bit, it started out slow, you know, Friday stayed in, Saturday it rained, it was disgusting. I actually am learning lines for a short film that I'm going to be filming hopefully this month or next month, so that was great. But it was our annual traditional cookie baking weekend. Now, we usually do this in Queens at my mother's apartment, but because my sister moved into this big, beautiful house in Dix Hill, she's like, come use my kitchen. So we were all there this weekend, my parents, my sister, my brother, my niece, my girlfriend. Bobby's gonna put up a pic of my parents. They're my parents. Dad even helped my mom decorate these cookies, okay? So I want you to know that Bobby's gonna put up the next picture. Okay, now, before you get rid of that picture, I'm going to let you know we used 15 pounds of sugar, 25 pounds of flour, 18 pounds of butter, 7 dozen eggs. We made over 2,000 cookies, including butter cookies, cream cheese cookies, Regina cookies, pinoles, thumbprint. Listen, you name it, we had it. Lemon cookies, anisette, they were all there and basically boxed and distributed today. So there's only a few left. But you know what? These are the memories you make with your family. And I look forward to doing that. I also wanted to say that we lost a man today who touched my childhood. Bob McGrath passed away. He was on Sesame Street. The man was 90 years old, God bless. But he, you know, every time I turned it on, he'd be there and he helped make my childhood memories watching Sesame Street. So a great loss, but a great man. Now I'm going to introduce you to another great man sitting next to me. He's an actor, he's a writer, he's a comedian, he's a friend of mine. We met many years ago. Mark DeMeo, hello, my friend.
Hi, Teresa.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just looking at how...
You're looking at how we look.
How fat my jowls look. I'm like, how did my face get like this? I'm trying to find a position where I don't look so big.
You gotta like push your head back or something. I don't know. So listen, I want everyone to get to know you for those who don't. You're originally from Astoria.
Yeah, man. The story is in the house.
Well, I'm from Queens too, from Bayside.
Okay.
And I went to Cardozo, which I know you went to Queensboro, which was like right across the street.
Well, yeah, I went to Queensboro for a
couple of years.
For the 13th grade.
But
I went to St. John's Prep.
Yes, you went to prep, and you started out very, very young in uniform. Bobby has a picture of you, and you're very, very young in uniform.
But that's probably from
prep school, no?
No, that's from military school.
Is it a military school?
Yeah, I got shipped away. What happened was I used to talk a lot in class.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, like I wasn't like I was like a professional heckler. Like my whole goal, like, I don't know why in school at that age was before I got shipped away.
Yeah.
Was to like disturb learning. Like I always had to like talk and make jokes, and then at some point, I was going to like PS 85. They recommended to my mother that I should probably go to some place where they can give me more attention.
Right.
And they found that military school for me, and then they straightened me out right away. But they used Yeah, they used to hit you, man.
Did they? Well, back then they could.
I didn't talk for a whole year.
Really?
That was the best year I ever had in my life. I was so
Wow.
scared when I got there. I had like a 95 and above average.
Yeah.
Like,
Like the best grades. I never got 100 on a test though. I never got 100.
But no, but in that 5th grade,
That was good.
When I got sent there,
Yeah.
I was so scared. I just like, I paid it. I did my schoolwork and I paid attention and I did my homework.
Right.
But by like the time I got into 7th grade, then I started acting up again. And by the time I was in 8th grade,
They couldn't keep you quiet for long, Mark.
I got busted right before. If you look at that, that was like my my graduation picture.
Yeah.
I had corporal stripes, but I was really supposed to be a sergeant. I brought my jacket down to get promoted.
Really?
Prior to the graduation, which was like a week away. But we used to do this thing. We were on the 3rd floor, and I was the monitor of a room. And the kids like to go down the laundry chute. It was like stainless steel, and you could fly down. And when you landed on the bottom 3 stories lower, you would land in a big thing, a bin of laundry.
Yeah.
So what we used to do, we used to throw them down there. So, and they loved it. Boom, 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 boom. And it was so much fun. They'd run up, they wanted to do it. It was like a ride. So I had this one kid, and I was ready to throw him down, and this kid wanted to go head first. Most of the time, and these were like 3rd graders, 2nd graders. Yeah. And I had this one kid, he wanted to go head first, so I was ready to throw him down, and all of a sudden, Sister Demetria walks through the door, and she catches me with this kid in the air. And she had this problem with her eyes too. She couldn't open them in a way. And then finally she's like, "What are you doing?" And then I did. He went down, and I got busted. So I brought my uniform down to get the sergeant stripes on it for my graduation. I got the sergeant stripes. I brought it upstairs. Then by Friday, I had to bring it downstairs so they can remove the sergeant stripes and put my corporal stripes back on.
Oh no.
Yeah, because of that.
Because of that one ride.
That kid I threw down the laundry
head first.
chute. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, you went to St. John's Prep. And then you studied, like I mentioned, at Queensborough. I was across the street at Cardozo. And then what happened? You wanted to become a cop always? Like, because you became a police officer. Which, thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah. I was a cop for 20 years.
We got a picture of that, too.
NYPD, there you go.
And you were young. You were 25 when you joined, and you put in your 20, and you got out at 45, correct?
Yeah, what happened was, I think at some point you realize, like, when you're growing up in New York, like, for example, I always joke that I got a 700 on my SAT, combined. And then, like, I spent 5 years in a 2-year college. So, at some point you realize, and the people that care about you, they start talking to you, hey, why don't you, do you ever think about taking the city tests?
Yeah, sanitation.
All that. So, So, but also, too, my uncle was a cop, and a couple of guys
I was just
going
to ask you if anyone in the family.
Yeah, my Uncle George was a cop. As a matter of fact, when I first got on the job, I actually worked with him for a few years.
Oh, that's cool.
A shout out to my Uncle George.
Hey, that's nice.
Yeah.
And you were in the 2-6?
Well,
where were you?
I started out working in Queens.
Yes.
I worked in what was called the Queens Task Force. And that was a lot of fun there. And then when I started with the acting, or I had an interest in acting.
Yes.
I started going to HB Studios in the city.
Yes, very popular.
So I needed to get, so I was working the perfect tour for that in the task force. I used to work 6 at night to 2 in the morning, so I could go to my Friday class.
Right.
I could rehearse my scene with whoever my scene partner was.
Yeah.
Because once I became a cop, I realized, okay, I'm doing this. I was a newlywed. I'm doing this for her family. I married a Greek girl.
You married? How'd you do that? How'd you infiltrate a Greek family? I dated a Greek guy in high school. He's like, I could date you, but I can't marry you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because Greek usually marry Greek.
Yeah. You're 100% right. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
But you did it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's the expectation. You're taking, like their daughter, so you want to like at least have a good job.
Right.
But I knew in my heart, like, okay, I'm gonna. This is gonna be a job for me.
Yeah.
It's not like I had a thing where like I want to go out and save the world.
Right.
But I did exactly what I was supposed to do as a cop. Whatever they wanted, I gave them their numbers. You know what I'm saying? And I liked the job. It was fun. It was exciting. Like I'm not the type of guy to sit behind a desk.
But you spent 13 years actually as a detective, no?
Yeah, well, that was because when I was working in the task force, I had to change my hours. So once I became comfortable with my acting technique,
Right.
I was going to HB Studios. You know, like I was doing the cop thing because I had a job, but now I wanted to do something for me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And that was the acting. That was my outlet.
I think we got a headshot of his acting, right, Bobby? We got
early one?
Yeah, I think we got an early headshot back in the day.
Let's see. Yeah, that's one of the original ones. That's actually probably when I was modeling at that time.
And you were modeling too.
While I was going to acting school, I was modeling. Yeah.
You know, there's a picture I didn't send to Bobby, but you're wearing like an Italian cap.
Yeah,
you
that
look
one.
like from The Godfather.
Well, that was for that was a tear sheet from a
was
thing
that
that
what-
I did
Oh, okay.
for Esquire.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was a good Marlon Brando thing.
Ah, yeah, I liked it. I was like, ooh, you look like you're from The Godfather, like you could have been, you know.
Yeah. That was a good. I was in good shape at that time. I was
Good shape. Talk about good shape. You also were a bodybuilder back in the day, right, Bobby? You could throw that up.
I always was
Let's
looking
throw that
for
up
a
for the
way.
women.
I was always looking for a way. Look at that. Huh?
Hello. How
Right
long
now,
did you do?
that-
How
that-
long did you do bodybuilding? You know
for a long-
that
for a
is
long
a
time,
commitment. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's where I
Bodybuilding is no joke.
That's where I
mean,
got
you have
most
to
of my
watch
discipline from.
everything you eat. You have to really. I mean, you're lean.
Everything that I did, I was disciplined in, up until I kind of sort of retired as a cop, and then I just.
And then it was like a free for all.
Now I do whatever I want.
Right.
Okay? But the bodybuilding gave me like a discipline.
Yes.
You know, between the
Well, you
eating
got rid of
and
the
training.
stereotype of how, you know, some cops are heavy and only eat donuts, because obviously that picture does not show that at all.
Well, there was a lot of donut eating cops too, but but yeah, there was also a bunch of us that that were into working out and bodybuilding and stuff like that. And I worked with a couple of guys, crazy guys.
And you got to chase some perps. You got to be able
guys.
to run. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I worked with powerlifters. I worked with the powerlifter guys were nuts.
Yeah.
Those are like some of the best days I ever had on the job, was working in the Queens Task Force. But then like I said, I wanted to, once my acting got good enough and I had to go into a theater company, I needed daytime hours so I can act at night.
Right.
So then I found this other thing to do in the command there that I worked, and it was called warrants. So
Yes, warrants.
We used to go pick up people
You in the
on
warrant
warrants.
squad.
And I got lucky with that.
Yeah.
And now I'm working steady mornings, and I'm in a theater company. I was in the 13th Street Repertory Theater Company. Edith O'Hara she ran it.
Oh, cool.
And that was probably one of the best, times in my life. It was
Yeah.
I used to do 2 different plays. You're an actor.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
sometimes I would do 2 plays in one night, and different plays. And one of the plays called Line, I didn't know which character I was playing. It was Fleming or the other guy. So I had to know 2 characters in one play and then do another play.
That's
It
funny.
was like the best experience you could ever have in
Well,
your life.
Tuesday night, and I didn't give Bobby any of these pictures. They're on my Facebook page. But Tuesday night, I did Bat Boy, a Yankee Miracle at the Yogi Berra Museum, and I played 3 different characters that night. And I play the other woman, where when I come out, the audience like gasp. They're like, oh! And then I play Raina Grone's aunt, and I find my son shot dead. So now the audience is crying with me. And at the very end, I come out as this blonde, busty girl who's real ditzy, and I play the marshmallow salesman's girlfriend, who Billy Martin actually punched out in real life.
Oh my God.
And then I leave him laughing. So, but it's like, but I know what you mean, because
Greatest thing.
it is. There's nothing like live theater, and we're going to get into that more later with your own show that you did. But you know what? We're going to take my first break, so don't go away. More with Mark when we come back.
Well, hi there, Teresa. It's John York from General Hospital. I am just checking in because apparently you have a great talk show called Tea Time on Strong Island TV. I want you to have continued great success and have a lot of fun. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun, and that's pretty much the key to everything, isn't it? So continued success. I'm proud of you. Have a great day, Teresa. Bye.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm with my friend. He's an actor, he's a writer, he's a comedian. Mark DeMeo is in the house. Yay! Took the ride from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. You got so busy. You know, we're talking about his career and how he, was a police officer for 20, put in his 20, he left. But while doing police work, you were actually acting and doing so much acting. You were on As the World Turns a lot, right? And then you did a movie with Danny Aiello. Tell me about that.
Well, As the World Turns, when they had a lot of soap operas filming in the city,
Yes.
you can, as a young actor, you can go there and do background work.
Yeah.
And then once you became, I guess, reliable or responsible enough, your background work, if you were lucky enough, could lead to what's called a 5 and under.
Yes.
So that means they would actually give you a talking part, 5 words or under.
Okay.
So I wound up getting that, and then just through continue working with the show and everybody liking me and stuff like that, one time I got a day player role. Well, a day player means that you're gonna do but then I wound up becoming the captain of the SWAT team in this hostage negotiation thing.
Right.
And I had 2 days of shooting, but it one day was on a Thursday and the next day was on a Tuesday in the following week. So they had to hire me for as a contract part.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I actually had a contract part on a soap. But then Danny Aiello, I did his TV show. Danny had a show called Della Ventura.
Yes.
And it was a primetime series, and I auditioned and to play a boxer. Mm-hmm. And I remember I got a call back. Mm-hmm. So what happened was Danny Aiello's show, the first time I went to play a bodyguard for a drug dealer.
Okay.
And I'm with this guy, another actor. We're the 2 guys who are standing in the back behind this drug dealer scene, right?
Right.
So this guy, Peter Bootsma, great guy. I haven't seen him in 25 years, but I'm sure he's still a great guy. He says to me, "Do you have a headshot? I know the first AD." So I said, "Yeah." So I gave it to him. So he gave the headshots to the first AD. And the next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they're calling me back. "Are you really a boxer?" Because what happens is under special skills,
yes,
I put I'm a boxer.
Right.
And I was.
Right.
I trained as a boxer for,
right.
I don't know, a year at Lost Battalion Hall on Queens Boulevard.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I could fake it better than anybody.
Yeah.
So I went in and I get a call back. And now I'm working in remember I told you the task force for doing warrants?
Yeah.
And I get the call back. So I tell my boss, I said, "Hey, listen, man, I need the afternoon off because I got a call back." He goes, "You don't have to take the afternoon off. We'll bring you."
Oh.
So we went into the city. I do this callback where I go upstairs, I meet Danny, I act the part out. He sends me out with his son.
Yeah.
And then I do the boxing part in front of him.
Right.
The shadow boxing and all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was the stunt coordinator. And then he brings me back, and then they tell me I got the part. So, this
How
is
cool. Wow.
it's the A story, an episodic episode on a
Yeah.
primetime show. It's 6 scenes.
Nice.
So now I go back downstairs. But instead, I said to myself, I'm going to mess with my guys I work with. So I'm coming back to the van, and they're like, "So what happened?" I'm like, "Man, I didn't get the part." And they were like, "Really? Oh, don't worry about it." And they're so encouraging. These guys are, "Don't worry about it, bro. We got you, man. We get the next one." I was like, "Nah, I got it." So then we all went nuts. And it was probably one of the best days. Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then you were on Central Park West. You did
Well,
a
that was
bunch
Central
of
Park
commercials.
West. That was before that.
Yeah.
That was actually how I got my SAG card.
I was just going to ask you how you got your SAG card. Okay, from Central Park West, huh?
They used my pictures because I was a model at the time to be on
Right.
the show. And then they had a scene at the end where this Mercury Man, who I was supposed to be on the show, where they were doing the ad campaign about it, they would just point to the Mercury Man. I was the Mercury Man.
Okay.
So then at the end, there's a scene there where I just go like this. So I got 2 waivers on my SAG.
Right.
And the third one was from a commercial thing that I went to. I shouldn't have been there.
Really?
Yeah, so I got, and it was I think at the time it was $1,200. And now it's
Oh, it's $6,100. No, I'm sorry, it's $3,100. Yeah, the SAG card is 30. I think
it was $1,200 back
I think it's
then.
3,100.
And I was so smart because I was like, I took the 3 waivers, I joined, and then next thing you know, like a month later, I got my first part on TV.
Wow,
talking, yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. And then, you know, we've got some pictures of you working now. Well, more recent. I don't know if Bob, you want to throw them up. You can tell me what they were, because you've done quite a bit of stuff now.
That was on FBI's Most Wanted.
Yes, that was in 2020.
That was probably one of the better scenes that I've ever had on TV. I almost got into a fight with this guy. He's the brother of what's that blonde guy? There's like 3 brothers, really handsome guys, blonde guys. He was on the show there, and we stood face to face. So supposedly almost got into a fight. So that was a cool scene.
That's cool. And I think there was one more after that. Oh yeah, that's Hello.
That was the Law and Order.
That's Law and Order.
You know what? Let me tell you something about Law and Order.
2019.
We were talking about this before, right?
Yeah, Law and Order. Yeah.
If you're an actor in
Thanks,
New York
Bobby.
City, well, they say you're not an actor in New York City until you've done Law and Order.
Right.
So.
And my daughter she tells me, I don't care what you're doing, Ma. Just talk to me when you're on Law and Order.
I auditioned for Law and Order. It had to be 15, 20 years in a row, at least twice a year.
Yeah.
And I never got the part.
Wow.
And a lot of times it was for playing a cop, and I was a cop. So I couldn't understand it. A lot of times the scenes were so simple. It was like the detectives come up to me and like, oh, the body's over there. Better cover your nose or something, you know, like something stupid like that. Like, how do you mess that up? And I never got it. And then one day I go for an audition, and this is for George, the evidence clerk. So I go in there and I mess that up. And I go to the elevator, and I remember it was raining that day. It was raining, and you got to drive in. I find the spot.
Yeah.
I walk all over there in the rain, like 3 blocks in the rain, because you don't get parking right in front of the place.
No,
in
never.
New York City. So,
never.
And I remember I did so poorly on the audition that I was so mad at myself that I punched the elevator like with a button.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you, man? And I punched the thing, and then I'm driving home in the rain. And then my agent calls me up. He says, you got a call back.
Ah.
So I was like, oh, no kidding. So then I had to go back a couple of days later, and it was raining again. So then I did even worse than I did the first time.
You thought in your mind.
And then I left there, and I punched the thing. Again. What the fuck is wrong? What's the matter with you? And then he calls me up. He says, you got the part.
You got
it. So I have no idea why.
There's no rhyme or reason to this. No. It's all about timing and.
But I finally got it out of my things to do list.
It's still on my bucket list. It's still there.
You'll get it.
I will eventually. I will. But so now you're doing the comedy. You do the acting thing, okay? Which kind of like really takes off you almost to the point where you kind of like have to rein it in a little bit.
Well, I was scared that I might have to leave the job because at some point I remember I got an audition for Third Watch, and sometimes as you're moving up. After Della Ventura, I wound up getting Danny Aiello's agent. He was an old man at the time.
Yes. Yes.
But he took me under his wing, and he got me some really good auditions. And one of them, like when you get a good agent, you start getting auditions for shows that are in creations for a character part.
Right.
Instead of just being guest stars. So I went up for Third Watch while I was being created, and I got really close.
Wow.
And then I was like thinking to myself, man, like what's going to happen when I actually get one of these? You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I going to do with the police
How
department?
many years did you have in at that time?
I didn't have that much time in at all. I had less than 5 years.
Wow.
So I was like thinking to myself, like, how am I going to tell, my Greek wife's family that, I'm leaving this secure job that you entrusted me with.
I will not have a pension from the
to go into this acting career.
Wow.
So I don't know. I thought to myself, well, I found a way out. I started doing stand-up. I was like, I want to do this instead. I didn't really know how much I wanted to do with it, but I just got scared, so I was like.
But what clicked in your head? I'm going to do stand-up comedy.
I created this scenario where I said to myself, well, if you really want to get the power in your control, you have to, you either got to write a screenplay, you got to do a one-man show, you got to do stand-up. That's how you get so in my head I'm thinking like what scared me the most was stand-up.
Okay.
So, and I just happened to be in an improv troupe at the time.
Yeah, I love improv.
And I was horrible at it.
Oh, I love it.
No, I don't know anything about geography.
I
can't do accents.
did 4 weeks with Bob Nelson.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my
Oh,
God,
yeah,
it was the
yeah.
best 4 weeks of my life.
That guy's great. I love him.
Oh my God, I love him to death.
So, so I got into this improv group,
Yeah.
Los Bandidos Chocolate, and so finally I'm rehearsing with them all, for months now, and they finally put me in a show, and I did great. I got big laughs, but the guy Rich Jackson comes up to me after the show. He goes, "Oh, you're really funny, man, but maybe you should try stand-up instead."
Huh?
Because
Really?
like anytime they came to me, like
Right.
I would just do the joke, turn it
Something
into
funny.
sex. I would just turn it into a
okay.
sexual joke.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
that's the way my mind was at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But I had the kind of sort of like that mentality of a stand-up, and then that's when I said, okay, I'll
Then
try
it clicked.
this.
It all clicked.
Yeah.
So you've been doing stand up how long now?
Oh man, it's like 25 years, I think. Yeah, 25. Yeah, 25.
Wow. Do you remember how we met, Mark? Wait, I'm putting him on the spot. Do you remember how we met and who introduced us?
No.
No, because I look totally different. That's
Okay.
why.
Okay.
I'm like 60 pounds lighter, and
Right.
I'm getting better as I'm getting older. As well. We met our girl Kathy Arnold.
Oh yeah.
Introduced
yeah.
us at the brokerage.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah, and that
right.
had to be at least 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah. She got married, right?
No,
No. No. I thought she was.
no. But that's
Where
how
was
we
she, man?
met. She's around. I'm actually doing a show with her. Quick plug. This Friday night at the Triad Theater. Kathy and I are doing
Oh,
a
the
show at
Triad, yeah, man.
9:30. If you're not doing anything Friday night, come down to the Triad Theater.
In Manhattan?
In Manhattan, yeah. 9:30 show. And we're going to take the train together into the city.
The
and-
Triad Theater used to have one of the best comedy shows in the city, like, in the middle of the week, if you were a young comic.
Yeah,
And I remember going there one night and then watching J.B. Smooth
yeah.
destroy.
Really?
Destroy. I'm talking about, like,
Look at him today now,
it was
right?
about, I'm trying to think of what the joke was. It was about something like getting something on your shoe.
Uh-huh.
And the way, and, it was just like, I'm so happy I did that.
Oh my God!
That I
Listen,
went that night.
when we come back, we're going to take another break. But when we come back, I'm going to roll off some names about people that you've
Okay.
worked with and that we both hang out with. And I don't hang out with them. You do.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be right back. Don't go away. More with Mark DeMeo.
Wonder Woman was everything to little girls, especially that look like me. She stands for being a voice for people that need a voice. My organization renovates homes for people with disabilities. And when I come home, a self-care routine makes me feel my best. I'm very proud of the difference that we're making, and to see that impact in my community inspires me to work even harder for everyone around me.
Hi everyone, it's Teresa from Tea Time. I have a show on every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. on Channel 20. What's Tea Time about? Tea Time is about interviewing people in the entertainment industry. Actors, producers, singers, dancers, magicians, MMA fighters, Donnie Most from Happy Days, and Butch Patrick from the Munsters, Kieran Sheehan, who played the lead in Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, and so many more. So check out my show. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's interesting. Hope to see you there.
How you doing? It's Sal the Voice Valentinetti. Why are you watching me? You should be watching Teresa Canastraci Tea Time with Teresa Canastraci Farrell. And make sure you follow Teresa on Facebook, Tea Time with Teresa Canastraci Farrell. We'll see you there.
I love the way you say my name. I love it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. I have actor, writer, comedian Mark DeMeo is here. He also was a bodybuilder. He was a model. This guy's 6'4", okay? Just letting you know, get an idea of how tall he is. But I want to talk about comics that you've worked with because, you've been doing this a very, very long time. I actually started in 91, 92, and then I stopped when I had my daughter, and then I returned to stand-up about 8 years ago. But now I'm doing more acting than comedy, which is fine by me because, you know, my mom put me on stage at 4 years old and she's like, "Hey, go entertain."
It's all about being creative. Anyway.
It is. But you've worked with many, many people. I mentioned Bob Nelson, who we love. You've worked with, Bobby's going to put up a picture with you and Kevin. There you are.
Oh man, that was a
Don't
good
you
weekend.
miss him? Oh,
Yeah,
what a
yeah.
great guy.
I never forget. I had, you know, when you were away on a weekend,
Yeah.
you know, with another comedian.
Yeah.
If it turns out and you're cool with each other,
Yeah.
you'll say, "What are you doing tomorrow?" You know, what are you doing tomorrow?
Right.
What are you
If
doing
not,
for
you're like,
tomorrow
"Nice
for
meeting
breakfast?" So we made a plan to eat together each
Yeah.
morning,
Yeah.
and I can still see us like sitting and him telling me about his daughter and stuff like that. He was what a
Yeah.
great guy, man.
I
I'm
never
lucky I
got
had
to
that
work with
weekend.
him or meet him. And yeah, I got one more, right, Bobby? Because there were so many. I couldn't send them all to Bobby. He'd like, be like, "How many pictures are you sending me?" And that's you with
Oh, yeah,
Artie.
yeah.
Okay?
Everybody will tell you Artie's the best guy ever, and he is.
He is. Artie I've met.
sweetest.
Artie I've talked to. He is a doll. He's a doll.
He had me on his
hung out with him.
podcast twice.
Yes,
And
I
one of
know,
them,
I watched
gave him,
it.
I gave him a PBA card.
I watched it.
He joked. He
I
goes,
watched
"Was that
it.
coke that fell out of
It
your
was a DEA card, right?
Yeah,
DEA
yeah,
card.
yeah.
Artie's the best. Artie, I love him. He's great. I hung out with him a couple of times at Governor's, and then we were doing limo talk. Remember I was telling you about limo
Oh, yeah,
talk,
yeah.
and Artie was there, and we dragged him in, and he was so cool, so nice.
Yeah, he's so funny.
You know, I've
He's so
actually
funny.
been texting him to come
Yeah, I mean, that would be a great get.
here.
That would be a great
And
get.
you know, I don't know if I could get him in studio, but we could always do virtual. But you've worked with many, 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 many comics. Regina DeChico, you know, she's great.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Jackie the Joke Man Martling.
She's the.
Yeah,
she's the-
she does warm up for the
Warm-
View.
yeah, The View,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
good
I'm so
for,
happy
her.
for her.
I know, me too. Isn't it great?
So I met-
But so many people, and a lot of locals, Richie Byrne, and you know, just so many comics
Great guy.
on Long Island.
Marco Guadana also too is.
Mark is great. I'm
yeah.
having him on my show. We're trying to come up with a date. Sheba Mason and just
Sheba's
so
got
many.
her show. I forget what the name. It's about
about obviously her dad,
But it was
yeah.
in the New
Jackie.
York Comedy Festival.
Yes.
And I'm so
yes.
happy for her too because she works really really hard. Sheba Mason and you
But
know,
you did Showtime, White Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, that was a great experience. That was because when I first started doing comedy, I realized where you could grab a bunch of stage time, and that was in the urban rooms.
Yes.
People don't realize this, but at the time, back then, you know, there was like people of color had to go to like different rooms to do their comedy, or at
Yeah.
least work out a lot because they weren't really using so many in the comedy clubs at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a tougher rooms, but you got stage time.
Yeah, that's all that mattered,
And
really.
yeah. So I met you name it. There's not a comedian that you could see. Kevin Hart. I remember getting a cab from him in Brooklyn
I had a
because he
picture
couldn't
of that,
get
but
a
I
cab.
didn't send it to Bobby. Yes.
He was like, "Yo, could you get me a cab?" And so I stood out there in Atlantic Avenue
He's
and I
so
got him
funny.
a cab. And then I was like, "Yo, Kevin, come, that's your cab." Yeah.
You did Jamie Foxx's Laugh-A-Palooza.
Yeah, that was in Atlanta. That was quite the experience.
Okay, and then you did CTV's Latino Laughter.
Those were all TV spots when I was like really early in my comedy
And
career.
what people might not know about you is that you're actually half Dominican and half Czech.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, my father was from Dominican Republic. He passed away, but and my mother's from Czechoslovakia. So
Right. But they were both immigrants, right? They were not.
they met
were
in
not born here.
English-speaking school.
Is that where they met?
Yeah.
ESL?
My father was telling my mother he was trying to practice. He told me.
Oh, how
he
sweet
told
is
me
this story?
before the class starts, you're supposed to like practice English with somebody.
With a partner, and he
my
said,
mother's
"Ooh."
blonde hair, green eyes from Czechoslovakia. So my father's like,
Oh.
So
if I'm
I-
going to practice, I want to practice on
Yeah.
that.
So he goes, so I passed by your house yesterday. And, you know, he's telling her he walked past it.
Yeah.
She goes, okay, 6 o'clock. And he's like, no, I passed by your house. Okay, 6 o'clock. Like, she thinks she's asking him out on a date. So I always joke around that
How sweet is
they fell in
that?
love right away and they got married. And then as soon as they could understand what each other was saying, they got divorced.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You did comedy jump off? Was that a DVD? Was that on DVD?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the guy who put that together. Oh man, another cool guy, an artist. He does all the album covers for. Damn it, man.
And I thought I thought this was hysterical. You actually did. You just been cranked called for 98.7 Kiss FM.
Yeah, my friend Talent was he was one of the radio personalities on the morning show on 98.7 Kiss. So they used to do a thing where they crank call you.
Yes.
So I used to
We've
come
all
in,
heard that on the radio.
and I go in and I would do the voices of like I guess white guys, you know, whatever. But that was a lot of fun. Yeah. And he's one of my good friends in comedy too, Talent.
Now, did they like give you kind of like a script, or like did you improv a lot of it? It was just a premise. How'd that work?
You know what? It was. It's so funny. We used to go off the cuff, but like so. One of the scenes I remember was like they said, you know, your son's been arrested, and you know he's got charged with 9 robberies. So like you know, since I was a cop, I could do that really well. But the mother started crying on the phone, and then we couldn't use that one. So it was like a couple of things, you know, because the person's in on it.
Oh yeah,
they're the ones telling you call my mother and tell them I've been arrested.
They don't know how they're gonna respond.
Yeah, you don't know how they're gonna respond. So I'm like, at some point, I'm like, yo, this
Oh
isn't going good. I don't think we should go further. You want to talk to her?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I told the guys, you want to talk to your mother, please? I don't want this on my head.
Oh no. Because it's funny, but it could also be like, where you like feel bad about it.
Yeah. It could be too good. You could be too real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very, very convincing.
Yeah, I was good. I'm a good actor.
You're very, 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 very convincing. And then you also did this. You do this thing called After Hours with Mark DeMeo.
Well, I have 2 podcasts.
Off the cuff. Let's talk about your podcast, because you do have 2 of them. And actually, you did one right before you came tonight.
Yeah, before I came tonight.
So
I'm on a platform.
The first one, what was the first one? Was...
Well, we created a platform called Police Off the Cuff.
Right,
We started off with a podcast. It was me and a retired homicide sergeant named Bill Cannon.
Right.
And then during the pandemic, you know, we took on a Patreon, and we realized that, you know, at some point, you know, we have to give like content. You know, to the Patreon subscribers. And then it just turned out it was like, you know, he had a venture he wanted to go on, and I wanted to do my thing. So we just created this platform.
Okay.
So he does true crime, and I do the week in crime and policing, where it's like we cover all the stories. We try to, you know, sometimes it's heavy stories up front, and we lighten it up at the end. And then I interview people on Thursdays, and that one's called The After Hours. And a lot of them are like cops who became comedians, or authors, cops that are authors now, and stuff like that. It's interesting. I love doing it.
Yeah, I could send a few your way if you haven't had them on yet. Yeah. But I know you had our friend Frank Fiella on.
Yeah.
Frank's played my husband a couple of times in a couple of things. We just did a comedy called "It's Love, Bro." It's very. I can't wait to see it. We're gonna see it in the spring.
Yeah, you should actually write something like a scene where you can showcase it. Like send it out.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because we're gonna get to your one man show, because you did a 1-man show. But I had on Chad L. Coleman on the show. He was on The Wire and The Walking Dead and The Chronicle. And the first time I met him, the very first time I met him, was Teresa. You need to do a 1-woman show. That's the first thing. That's like the first thing that came out of his mouth to me, and I was like, I never considered it, but I have stories. Everyone has a story.
Yeah, if you need help, just let me know.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to take you up on that offer. Yeah.
It's the easiest way to go about it.
Yeah, because it's like, where do you start, and like, what do you include in them? What do you exclude, and how does that all work?
You don't realize this at first, but the first time you write it out, it's going to be horrible. But at least you have it on paper. You can't move forward until you actually have it on paper.
Yeah.
And then once you have it, then you improve it, then you improve it, then you improve it. By the time I got to like doing it with Peter Michael Marino, who's a great director, by the way. I like to throw out for my friends.
Shout out!
Yeah, he's the one who directed the show.
Nice.
You know, you have something, and then it constantly also it continues to evolve.
Right.
Evolve. But my point is that biggest fear is like
not doing it.
Well, it's just not scared that it's perfect on the first time you put it on paper.
Perfect.
Whatever you think about.
Nothing's perfect.
Whatever you think about, just put it down.
Yeah.
Just put it down and then make it better.
Yeah.
But just at least get it.
Talking about, you know, improving yourself, once you retired, your comedy really took a turn because there were a lot of things that you didn't talk about being
Yeah.
a cop while you were a cop doing comedy. And once you retired, woo, you let it loose, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, you did this one bit, which I actually wrote down because I was like, it's so funny about I heard the ping, I felt the sting, and ain't no thing. And I was like laughing my behind off when you're telling all these stories and you're saying how, you know, what you could do now that you're retired and, you know, they made legal and, you know, and all these different things. And I think it gave you more freedom.
Well, I mean, you know, cops are so funny innately just because of the job description. It's like you see things that are the only thing that you have as defense and to like protect yourself mentally is a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of times, God forbid, if somebody would hear what cops are talking about around a horrible scene, they'd probably think, wow, these people are, you know, they're horrible people.
Right.
It's just like a way to like
It's
not
almost
let
like a
it
defense mechanism.
sink into your head.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that I came up with for my one-man show were things that I got from listening to other comics.
Right.
Not comics, other cops.
Cops, right.
You know, and their stories.
Yeah.
And kind of sort of incorporating it into and then there's some stories that are completely mine, but whoever those people are that I let them know, like, you know, up front, I'm like, well, that's really great. Would you mind if I use that? You know what I'm saying?
Can I use that?
And yeah, so this cops are so funny, and like I said, it's when I was a cop, I wasn't like the funniest guy that was in the
Right.
We were all kind of sort of funny.
Well, you do that bit on knocking, which is
Well, yeah, that's
hysterical.
also true. That was, you know, like, listen, when you're out there working, you're trying to like kind of sort of, I don't know, be the best that you could be as well.
Sure.
I always try to do good in whatever I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just realized that if I knocked on the door this certain way,
Right.
I could probably get them to come to the door.
Right.
And I used to, in high school, I was like on the basketball team, and everybody used to rap at lunch, and I used to do this. Could I do it here?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll hold this.
Watch it, right?
You're knocking.
Now, isn't that a whole lot better than this?
Yes.
Like if you heard this, you're
No,
not answering the
I
door.
would answer my door.
But if somebody's on the door like this, you know what I'm saying? Like in that,
It's true.
and I know a lot of beats. I almost started using this hand. If I start using this hand, forget it. But it worked. So it was like, when you're looking for material,
Yeah.
you know, like I remember I was
Well, I
in
say
the,
write what you know.
I was
and,
in
you
the
know.
comedy club one night at
Yeah.
the Eastville.
Yeah.
And one of the cocktail waitresses, she said to me, "Oh, wow, you're really a detective? You probably handle some really interesting cases." And I was like, "Nah, not really. Most of the cases I got were bullshit, like stupid stuff, neighborhood nonsense."
Yeah.
That's what I told her. And then I realized, like, I always wanted to investigate homicides,
Right.
but I never got a chance to because I happened to work, like, during the biggest drop in homicide history.
Really?
Well, when I first got on the job, there was like over 2,200 homicides, and by the time I left, there was less than 300.
Wow.
So when I was a detective, like
Yeah.
nobody was dying.
Well, a little inside quick story. I wanted to become a cop when I was younger. And when I approached my parents, they were not thrilled with that idea.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I did become an auxiliary police officer,
Oh,
and I
okay.
worked at the 111 in Bayside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And I loved it. And they used to call it Fort Azalea because nothing ever happened back
Yeah,
then.
there's a lot of squirrel chasing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the worst thing we got was someone was stripping a car. I remember we got a call that someone was stripping the tires off a car. I mean, not like we could be as involved as someone who's
Yeah, no,
armed.
auxiliary,
You know, we were
listen.
just the eyes and the ears, and you know what I mean. But I loved it. I really did. I loved it.
Yeah, the auxiliary, God bless him, man.
Yeah, I know.
God
We
bless
weren't the
him.
cops. Good, you could say it. I know.
No, God bless him, man. Listen, they give him a police uniform, a real police
I know.
uniform.
I look good in blue.
And then they send them out there with no gun.
No, we didn't. We
These
didn't
people
have a
are
gun.
crazy.
No, it is crazy. It is crazy. I was crazy.
Why would you
I
ever
was.
do that?
Because I wanted
No
to do it.
paycheck.
I wanted to serve my
No, I
community,
get you.
and I
I
really
get you.
wanted to.
I just think they should change the uniform a little bit.
Maybe.
Like just put
Yes.
like in bright lights auxiliary, not a real
Not
cop.
armed.
Don't shoot me.
Not
Don't,
armed or
I'm just-
dangerous.
I'm Like, how could you send them out
my
there?
God.
And the only difference
I know,
is
it's
the
true.
shield,
It's
because it's like
true.
a
The
star.
shield is different,
But
yeah.
who knows a shield?
It's true. It's true. But I had the nightstick. I had the handcuffs. I had everything but the gun. It's true. All right, listen. We're gonna take my last quick break. Please don't go away. More with Mark DeMeo when we come back. Don't go away.
Doc, who's the best comedian you know?
Teresa Farrow.
And who's the best actress you know?
Teresa Farrow.
And who's the best cast member in Bad Boys?
Teresa Farrow.
Who's got the best radio?
Teresa Farrow.
Doc, who's your favorite Jimmy?
Teresa Farrow.
Who are you loving right now?
Teresa Farrow.
All right, Doc, I love you too, baby.
Love you as always.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me. I'm with Mark DeMeo. It's so good to see you after all these freaking years, man. Seriously, he's an actor, he's a writer, he's a comedian, and we're talking about his amazing career as a police
Well, I wouldn't
officer.
say amazing.
It is amazing. Come on,
I would
look.
use words like long-lasting.
All right. Well, you
or
look back
never,
and
never quits.
that's right. You
If
never.
I'm
No.
like a living embodiment for like, don't ever quit.
Never give up. It's true, but you've had this.
I just don't have the other part of it where, you see what happened? Because I didn't quit 25
We'll get
years.
there. We'll get there. We're gonna get there. But he's 20 years, and he did this one-man show called 20 and Out. Bobby's gonna put up the flyer. A one-man show, and all these amazing stories that you told. And this was one flyer that I found that you did it at the Pit. But
I also did the Fringe Festival, the New York
Yes,
City Fringe Festival.
yes.
I should have probably went to, I could have done Edinburgh. I think that's where the Fringe Festival is too.
Yeah.
But
So this is a one-man show.
I couldn't get away like
You wrote,
like that. Yeah.
and how long was the show? Was it like an hour and a half?
Well, you know, when I did the Fringe, somebody told me that if your show's an hour, you should probably put it for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Because people need to sit down in front and at the end. So I put it in for an hour and a half, and then when I got in the Fringe, they were like, no. If you're an hour and a half show, we've incorporated the seating before and after.
Oh.
So you got to do an hour and a half show. So I had to do because they call it killing babies.
Yeah.
So when you write a script, there's some stories you're not going to use.
Correct.
Because you got to squeeze it into an hour, so you kill some babies, right?
Right.
But at that point, right now, I took all the babies I had and I just did the 1 hour and a half show.
Hey, I want to give some quick shout-outs. Kevin Epstein is watching, and Mickey Delaney, and Albert, and Bruno, and Ann. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show. Please like it. Please share it. Tea Time is on every Saturday at 11 a.m. on Channel 20. I'm with Mark DeMeo, and, when was the last time you did the show? And COVID, I know COVID put a lot of things on hold. So when are you going to, reprise it?
Well, I'm moving to Vegas.
You're moving to Vegas? Oh, no.
So, yeah, this is an announcement.
I'm happy for Vegas. I'm not happy for New York.
I've been here my whole life.
This is huge. This is huge. This is huge.
Yeah, it's huge for me. But
because just to interrupt,
let's be honest, nobody else gives up.
Just to interrupt a minute,
Nobody else gives up.
Now listen to me. You have two. Wait it down. Hold on. You have two greatest achievements in your life. You know what they are?
My kids?
Yes, your son and your daughter.
Yeah,
and they're beautiful. They're absolutely stunning.
But they're adults now.
They are adults. And okay, you're not changing diapers and you're not
My
raising
son's a
kids.
registered nurse. He works in
God bless.
NYU Winthrop. So
good for him.
God forbid you have to go to the emergency room.
That's where he is.
Ask for Dimitri. He'll take good care of you. And my daughter works for L'Oreal for
Nice.
the Kiehl's division. So they're both doing really, really well.
God bless.
So
you decided,
I am blessed.
I'm moving west.
I have a friend, and he's my childhood friend. and he's been in Vegas for a long, long time now.
Yeah.
And I also have. It's a funny thing about a story is that it was just such a small place.
Yeah.
But so many people like that came out of it in my generation that I grew up with wound
Yeah.
up becoming like incredibly successful. Like for example, Dito Montiel. Like he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was a friend of mine, but we used to play them in sports. They lived
Right,
around
right,
the corner.
right.
Famous, movie director, and then Sandy Katranakis, and he's a film producer, and then you got Paul Vallone, he was a city councilman, and then Frank Stiles, one of the best plastic surgeons in the world, and then here comes my friend Peter Georges, and he's a restaurateur and builds high-end mansions in Las Vegas, and Tommy White is the head of the concrete union. So. And I'm not even scratching the surface about just people that are like really doing well, Anna Maria Corriere, she's
Mark.
a doctor. So many people that I grew up with from that neighborhood, except for me, but everybody else wound up being successful. But so I have this opportunity to go out there, and I have something waiting for me that is going to. So I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna go out there.
Okay.
I'm gonna still be able to do comedy. I'm gonna still be able to do the podcast,
Yes.
and I'm still gonna be able to act. I want to
Right,
bring back
right.
20 and Out, but I want to do like
Okay.
a 2.0 version. So many
Okay.
things have happened, like
Right,
defund
right,
the police.
right,
You know,
right.
like,
Yeah,
how did
yeah,
that work
yeah.
out for you, by
Yeah,
the way?
right.
How did defund the police work out for you? Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Yeah. In San Francisco, they want to hire robots right now.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
And they're giving them the ability to kill people. Like they'd rather have a
Oh,
robot
come on,
kill people
really?
than like cops.
Is this RoboCop now? I think they're watching a little too many movies. I don't
But
think
I'm
so.
just saying that there's so many different ways that you can go with this. But I'm putting it together, and then I have an idea for another one-man show. So I'm going to be doing my
All right.
shows over
so
there.
it's exciting. It's an exciting time for you.
Yeah,
So you're looking, forward to a new adventure.
It's always what you make it.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying?
This is
So
true.
it's up to me. Like, I could sit here and chase a sing nickel around, or
I get it.
it's,
I get it. I get it.
So
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Why
If
not
you
live
can
your
do
life?
it, if you
For
can do
crying out
it,
loud,
if you
damn
can
it.
do it, take the chance and do it. I said during the pandemic, one of the jokes that I wrote during the pandemic was, oof, we're going to see how many people got divorced and how many people were getting pregnant during that time.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And a lot of people changed careers and they reevaluated and they were like, I don't know if I want to, still be in the
Yeah,
same
a lot of people made
situation I'm in.
mistakes. Some people got married during the pandemic, which
Yeah.
is like, to me, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, if you could really, like, stretch it out.
Yeah, it's not something
Now is
I
not the
would've
time.
done.
Like,
Yeah,
honey,
no.
listen, I really want to, I thought we were going to have a big wedding. I wanted to have our families there.
Now they're all trying to catch up on all that stuff.
So I was like, why would you do that? I was thinking,
Yeah.
what a moron, right?
Yeah, I don't.
And
yeah.
then I'm thinking, either he's a moron or he's a genius, a pathological genius. Because think about it, you get married during the pandemic, what happens, right?
I know.
You can only have 3 people at your wedding.
That's
How much
it.
money do you
That's
save?
It. That's it. A ton.
Oh
A
my
ton of
God!
money.
Yeah. And everybody else, they're still sending you gifts.
A ton. This is
They're
true.
still sending
This
you
is-
gifts,
This
and
is so true.
because they're so happy they didn't have to come to your wedding.
Yeah, I know. My daughter's getting married next year,
Oh,
and
congratulations!
she thinks she's a Kardashian because she's inviting like over 400 people.
Oh, 400? Yeah,
Oh, it's
300.
crazy. It's like a big fat Italian wedding. It's just insane. It's really insane. So I just want to tell everyone how to follow you, not to stalk him, but just to follow his career and what he's doing. Mark DeMayo, DeMayo. He's on Facebook, he's on Insta, and he's on Twitter. So go to these venues, go to these platforms, look him up, see what he's doing. Now we're all gonna see you making a move and look forward to bigger and better things for you
Yeah,
and
you got-
announcements that
And you have so many things cooking too.
I
like-
got, I'm cooking. I like to cook.
Yeah, you're a good actor. You're a good
Thank
actor.
you. I appreciate that. I hope we get to work together one day.
Yeah, me too. What are you doing? What's that? The Benson?
Bensonhurst Boys. We're doing Bensonhurst Boys. That's going to be great. I got into Gravesend season 2 with
Gravesend.
Willie DeMayo.
My friend is on there too.
Who isn't? Peter Guardio.
Yeah.
Guess what?
That's my
Peter went
buddy.
to Cardozo with me.
Oh,
and
we used to work out in the same gym together.
his best friend, I'm going to send him this. Pete, I'm sending you this. his best friend, Al Stevenson, lived on my block in Bayside, so he was always on 210 Street hanging out.
I love Peter.
Peter's
man.
the best.
Yeah, he's
Old
my
school,
boy. I'm so
the
happy
best.
so happy for his success
Yes,
and
me
the
too.
success of
Me
that
too.
show.
He's, you're at this a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
started
yeah.
on Bronx Tale.
Yeah, I know.
Back in the
I know.
day,
I remember when they were
he had
filming
the
that.
opening line.
That's
I'm
where I
like
lived.
watching it, going, "That's Peter." It's crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane, but it's such a fickle industry that we're in. Like
just
never
gotta keep
know.
going, man.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I turn around, I say, because my friends kind of like encourage me, and it's like your family that is like, when are you going to get a real job? You know what I mean? And I tell my mother, it's not a matter if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when. And I joke around and I say I don't like to knock on doors, I like to kick them in. But I said, I don't care if I'm 80 years old and I say, where's the beef? Or I fall in and I can't get up. Something eventually has to happen.
I thought about this too. If you think about it, like if you only get two parts a year, right?
Yeah.
And then 20 years later, you're still doing it. You've been on you have 40 parts on a TV show or in a movie.
Yeah. And no
You know
part
what I'm
is
saying?
too small. That's another thing I want to say is
No,
no
that's not
part
true
is
at all.
No. Come
that's
on.
not true.
No, listen. No part is too small. Meaning that if I'm offered a part that is not a big part, but it's a part, and I do it, I love it. For me it's the passion and for the love of it first.
Okay, yeah.
So for me, no role is too small. I can make it the way I want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I also get a lot of people that they want to use either police uniform or something like that. And like, hey, can you come and do my movie for no money? I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
You're like, do you get paid?
I'm kidding.
I do too.
Still.
No, there's certain things that we'll do.
I was just kidding. It depends how interesting the thing is. If the thing sounds like it's going to be fun.
And if you want to be involved in it.
If the thing is going to be fun, just do it. You never know where it's
You know
going
what
to
was
go.
fun?
Look,
You know what was fun?
This was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. And I'm out of time. And I want to just thank you again for doing this for me.
Thank you so much.
Making this trip here. I love you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so listen, everyone, have a safe week. Tell everyone you love them. Stay safe, everyone. See you next week. Ciao. Say one bye. Ciao.